Now, when it comes to comments, some people like to improve the appearance of a comment. And it's quite simple to do that. For example, if I right click on this particular comment here, I can actually go into properties. And when I go into properties, I could change a sticky comment from looking like this particular symbol to any of these symbols listed. And so you may have a preference for how you want your sticky comments to look. I might decide, for example, that I'd like to put a question mark whenever they have a sticky comment. So I'm just looking for that particular, there it is there, help. And I might decide I want it to appear red instead of gold, so I'll change the color to red. And so whenever I add a sticky comment now, it's going to have a red tinge and it's going to appear, okay, as a red question mark. So you can customize the look of your comments. Now the other thing is when I click on a comment, or if I double click a comment, that's how you can easily edit the text inside of a comment. Just double click it. But if I want to format the text that's in this comment, then you may want to bring up the Show Properties bar. Now you can do this by going to View and Show Hide, and you can see this under the Toolbar Items. And under the Toolbar Items, you can actually show the Properties bar, but notice also the shortcut key is Control E. And that's a lot easier to just call it up that way than having to travel all through this. So I'm just going to click in the comment and I'm going to press Control E. And here is my pop-up for any sort of text properties. So if I want to say make abbreviations, this word here, I double click it, maybe I want to make that a different color, I can choose red. If I want to choose a different color here, that's red. If I want to make it bold, or I want to make it any of these sort of options, there's bold there's italics, there's underline, superscript and subscript. This particular option here is make the text larger in the selected text and smaller in the selected text. So it makes it slightly smaller or slightly larger than the rest of the text. And so you can play with the actual format of anything in your pop-up comments. And then when I post that and then just click away, if I rest on that symbol, I say I've formatted my text and my sticky note. If I felt I wanted to delete a sticky note, it would be a matter of just simply right-clicking and actually deleting the sticky note. So if I right-click here, I can delete it. So you just got to click in the right place. It's sort of like this area here outside of the text, and you can delete, you can reply to a comment, you can set the status of the comment. Let me just move this over a little bit so you can actually see. You can set the status of the comment to actually be complete or not complete, etc. Set status to accepted, cancelled, completed, rejected. Delete the comment, reply the comment, set the status of the comment, those sorts of things. And open up the comment panel if you wanted to. Open all pop-ups and minimize all pop-ups. Open all pop-ups would bring them all up. It's hard to see because they're sitting on top of each other. And so on and so forth. I'll just move it over there. So you're seeing both of them. If I right click, I can then, and right click the grey area, I can then minimize pop-ups, and it makes them go back to being minimized and only popping up when I actually rest on the actual comment. If I click on this comment, I can move this out of the way a little bit, and so you can see a little sort of line pops up whenever you rest on the comment. In fact, I'll move it up here, and then you can see the two of them side by side. Okay. So that is very handy, and I can close it easily by just clicking that, and pressing Control E is an easy way to bring it up, and pressing Control E also hides it. Now there are a number of tools, as you can tell just looking at the toolbar. And so if I go back to comment, basically you've got, and I just hide that comment panel, basically what you've got is, oh, hang on, I need to bring up that comment. All right, basically what you've got here is a tool that allows you to make a comment to insert text. So you may be wanting to tell them that they need to insert some text. You've got a tool here that allows you to highlight text. You've got a tool that allows you to underline text and to strike out text. Those are the sorts of options you've got. But you've also got the drawing tools where you can actually draw a rectangle or an arrow or any of these sort of items. So if I drew an arrow, for example, it would look like that. And then I could add maybe a comment at the foot of that just by maybe adding a text box or a sticky note. I might just add a text box that says, do we have the more recent logo? Things like that. And then just click away. So that's a text box, and we have just drawn an arrow as well. So a number of tools that you can draw, and of course we mentioned that if you want to edit what's in this box, just press Control E, and then you're able to select certain text or all the text in this particular box, and you're able to do things like change the color of the text, change the size of the text, etc., etc. Even make it centered, and then close that text properties. So what I'd like to do now is add some comments. I'm first of all going to press F4, and I'm going to bring up my page thumbnails, which is my page navigator, and I'm going to click on page 3, and I want to add a sticky note to the right of the text inbound, so that would be just here. So I click on my sticky note button, which is this one here, and I click just after inbound to add a comment. And I type the comment here, could you please replace 2012 and 2014 with 2020 and 2022 figures. This at here is, if I want to click it, I can actually choose somebody that I want to grab their attention. If this comment is directed at a particular person, I could choose that particular person. And if I click it again, I can choose another person that I want to add. So I could grab a couple of people and draw their attention, but I'll just delete those. And then I'll just post it. And I've posted my comment. I would also like to add a note to replace certain text. And so on page 6, here you'll find that there is a word called hip. Where have we got this? Professional 2030s. Here we go, hip. I'm just going to double click that. I'm just going to go here and say I want to replace the text, a note to replace text. And the note that I want to make is replace hip with trendy. And I'll post that as well. On page 6, I'd also like to imply that I want some text inserted. So I would like to insert in front of competitive analysis. So I just click here, and then to insert text, I'm just going to click this button here, and it says what text do you want to insert. So I'm going to ask them to insert the word current in front of competitive analysis. So that's my comment there. All right. The next thing I'd like to do is on page 8. So I'll go to page 8, and I would like to highlight some text in here. So I'm just going to select this text here, and to highlight that, I'm just going to use my highlighter pen, and I am going to actually drag. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Undo. My highlighter pen is this one here. They look so similar, and I'm going to drag over this text here, and that just highlights it. So that's an option as well. As far as the underline tool and how that works, I might choose this option here, and I might select this text here, and so it's naturally underlined it. Another example might be strike through. If I choose this button here, which is strike through, and I double click was, or drag over it, whichever's easiest, it will put a strike through that word in red. And notice here that it's saying strike through, highlighted, underlined, and these are changes on page 8. There's 3 changes on page 8, 2 changes on page 6, and 1 change on page 3. Now on page 7, if I go there, I would actually like to add a rectangle around this heading. So I'm bringing up my drawing tools and I'm bringing up my rectangle. I'm just dragging around the heading and I'll put a rectangle around the outside of that heading. If I then go back to my drawing tools and grab oval, I could put an oval around this text here and I could move it up a little bit, and so I put an oval around that. And so there are 3 changes now on page 8. If I go, and how many changes on page 7? 2. You can collapse them by hitting this minus, this V, and it collapses, and the chevron then expands, so you can collapse and expand the amount of detail you want to see. You can hit these 3 dots here too and choose collapse all, and that collapses all, but it tells you how many changes: 4 on page 1, 1 on page 3, 2 on page 6, and you can choose expand all, and so that's an option as well. I'd like to go to page 5 and I would like to draw. So I'm just going to use my pencil this time. So here's my pencil, not to be confused with your highlighter, which goes yellow, and your pencil goes red. If I click on the pencil, I can cross some things out, like automobile. I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to cross out train. And I'm going to put a tick in front of ship, and I'll put a tick in front of airline flight. So you can actually draw with the pencil too. I'm not particularly skilled at that, but you can do that. So I hope that gives you a good overview of the types of comment tools that you've got. You can always close the comment tool, and you can always bring up the comment tool at any time. You can filter your comments, just comments made by a certain person, or just sticky note comments, or filter out what you want to see. You can also sort those by page, by author. So if I chose by author, they're sorted by Kathy, or sort them by page, which I think is better. You can also search, and at the end of the day, if I click on this comment, it takes me to there, and if I click on this comment, it takes me to there. So you can navigate to comments, and this little dot here allows you to delete the comment or set the status of the comment. Let me bring this window over a little bit. So if I click on this comment, I could set the status as rejected. So I've rejected that particular, and you can see a thumbs down, rejected by me. Or I could change the status to accepted, and that's a thumbs up. And ultimately, I could also tick things off as having been done. Or I can delete the comment entirely. Delete, and it's gone. So that's a really handy feature, is being able to send a document to people to comment on, but they really do need to be shown how to use these comment tools, and then just close. And I'm going to save the file, save, and that's that completed.